Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the first ever round of the Global Championship. My name is Luke Etheridge, and joining me in the commentary box for this historic event, round number 1 at the Red Bull Ring, is Joshua Davis. Joshua, how are you doing?
Yes, hello Luke, welcome all to TGC, the Global Championship, the new biggest PC tournament on the platform, on the game at least. So this is an absolutely fantastic grid we have lined up today. I cannot be going over the list I have in front of me of the drivers that we have tonight. It's absolutely fantastic, the amount of the caliber of drivers and the caliber of teams we have in this tournament. It's just going to be an absolutely fantastic few races we have in mind. 10 races we have this season across 10 weeks we have, and it's going to be an absolutely fantastic affair. As always, is it over here on PC platform things on F1. So it should be an amazing season, and I can't wait to get started here in Austria.
Yeah, certainly. As Josh just mentioned, we have got plenty of superb races on the way for you, starting tonight at Austria, and then we are heading to perhaps some more traditional scenes after that, as we just take a very quick look at what the calendar is going to be for this season. We are starting tonight, as we said, at the Red Bull Ring, heading over then to Imola. That will be the race after this, and then after Imola we are going to be going over towards Silverstone, home of the very first World Championship race. Azerbaijan, Jeddah, France, China, Mexico, USA, and then Brazil will be the final round. 10 rounds, 10 races, 10 teams taking part, and I'm sure you're all itching to find out in particular which teams are going to be taking part. So we're going to have a look at but let's have a look at the lineups in general. These are all the different drivers that are part of the rosters for the season as a whole. Is there any team, when we've seen the original rosters, you know, every team allowed to use round about 4 or 5 drivers, is there any team that stands out to you massively at the start?
Obviously, the main teams that stand out, you've got to be saying is, you know, RHE, you know, of course, ex-F1 driver Roman Grosjean's esports team, and also Race Clutch, obviously a part of the Alpine setup, the Alpine F1 esports setup. Tonight they have the likes of Patrick Sipos, of course, he is part of the Alpine setup, and with RHE, Alasdair Zildjian, PT Challengers driver, and Piotr Stachelek, of course, the vice champion of the PC Challengers series. So those are the two main teams that really pop out of the gate, alongside Viscarol Esports, of course, VSR, who have been in the game for a long time, with Duncan Hoffland and Thomas Harvey. Of course, Duncan Hoffland qualified on the PlayStation qualifying system, and obviously, of course, the new team on the block, Parnell Racing, of course, Liam Parnell's F1 esports team, who he drives for Red Bull Racing for, Carter Lundy and Jack Laverty in tonight, 2 of the amazing drivers as well. So those are probably the 4 main teams that play out, but it could go either way. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic 10 rounds, and obviously they're going to be switching and changing the drivers all across the season, so I would probably assume all of the drivers that are selected, as you can see on your screen, will probably have a shot at a race or 2 this season, with a few probably used as more than others, but it's going to be an absolutely fantastic few, and we couldn't have asked for 10 amazing teams on the platform.
Yeah, certainly. I know it's early days. If I had to pick any early favourites at the moment, probably would be RHG and Race Clutch. Obviously, with those affiliations, I think VSR and Parnell are going to be up there. It's extremely close, of course. I think we'd be a bit brave before we've even seen any of these drivers get going to really predict what it's going to be like. So we'll have a quick look then at the lineups for tonight, as I'm sure these are the ones that we are most worried about. Well, most bothered about, I should say. It is going to be Svetkov and Bedescu for Shazoo Racing. For ET8, it is going to be Armengol and Moldovan. For FBR, Modesto Meno and Alvaro Puerto. For TF10, it's going to be Oscar Villacampa and Marcus Shaw. Of course, as well, we've seen those in challengers before. ADRT, it is going to be Papinta and Haladesh. For WOR, Jonah Martins and Primoz Miklevčić. For Parnell, it was meant to be the double dose of Jacks with West and Laverty. Jack West, unfortunately, having issues with his PC. He has had to pull out, so it is going to be Carter Lundy, the reserve, stepping in. Also with VSR, it will be Duncan Hoffland, but Paris Burrell unable to make it, so Thomas Harvey will be stepping into his shoes. For Race Clutch, this is going to be Patrick Sipos, of course, who we've seen plenty of in esports, alongside Ruben Pedreno. And for RHG, Piotr Stachelek and Ulas Azildrim. 10 very strong lineups, obviously. Clearly all the teams wanting to hit the ground running early and get a good result, get some good points on the board at round 1.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is kind of the breeding ground, if you like, to the season. Obviously, you want to put your first team out who you think is the strongest team out there. First off, just to give a sense of how the championship is, how the other teams play out. So you want to put your first drivers out, which you think can do a very, very good job. And from the likes of the managers that they've put out tonight, it definitely does not disappoint. Obviously, there's a few that definitely stand out there from the teams we've listed: RHG and Race Clutch, Viscarol as well, TF10 as well. Have some great drivers with Oscar Villacampa and Marcus Short, obviously PlayStation Challengers driver from last season. Well, this season just gone actually. And so yeah, there's going to be some interesting teams, interesting lineups all the way through the season. But this is definitely going to be probably the one of the strongest we'll see this season. Well, this race even. Yeah,
certainly. I think, we're expecting this to be an absolutely superb season, hoping to see some superb performances. We've got esports drivers, we've got plenty of challengers drivers. Let's just take this opportunity then to take a quick look at a track that I'm sure we're all very familiar with then, the Red Bull Ring. 4.318 kilometres, 2.683 miles, 10 turns, basically. Josh, it feels like basically half the track is a DRS zone.
Yeah, it's a very, very short track. Obviously, probably one of the shortest on the calendar. 79% of the track is taken at full throttle, so that's how fast it is. With not many braking zones, of course. Main braking ones are really into maybe turn 1, turn 3, turn 2, if you like. If you count that little kink in towards the first one. Turn 4, barely braking for just a little bit of a kiss and a little bit of throttle needed, but it's very, very quick. It's almost like a go-kart track, if you like. That's how sort of short it is. But obviously these guys are going to be absolutely entitled with their game. They're going to be absolutely on it all race long for the 36 laps we have of them. Obviously full qualifying as well we're using in this system, so gives a little bit of a tenterhooks of how it will play out in the qualifying session. Obviously we'll have the qualifying and then we'll have a lobby restart until the race ending. But yeah, it's going to be an absolutely fantastic one, absolutely so. And yeah, it's going to be a fantastic affair.
Yes, certainly it is, and it's very interesting that you have mentioned that about the qualifying system. It is going to be the full qualifying, as we've seen in many top divisions across the time, so 18 minutes in Quali 1, 15 Quali 2, 12 in Quali 3, but that restart, of course, does mean that even if you start in the top 10, you will get a fresh choice of tyres. However, they must be the same compound that you have set your fastest lap on in Q2. Not like the current rules that are starting in Formula 1 in 2022, where you are going to be, of course, allowed to start on whatever tyres that you want. So it does limit the strategy slightly for the drivers. Those that have taken part in esports, it's more similar to what they've used to and what we've seen in some other team events as well. So possibly the alternate strategy not as powerful as it would be if we had the usual Q2 quali rule that we're used to seeing on this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think probably with this system in place, it may just eliminate the alternate strategy ever so slightly. So I wouldn't be surprised if throughout the season we just see the bottom 11 all on soft compound tyres. We'll just see the soft medium being used instead of medium soft. But we might see it in a few tracks along the line, which are very high degradation tracks. So the likes of Azerbaijan coming up in a few weeks' time as well. We may see it there. To Mexico as well. We may see it as well. But yeah, the strategy is definitely going to be a talking point this season. It's going to be interesting how all these drivers are going to fare with it. But probably first looking at out the books, it probably will be a lot of people starting for the soft medium instead of the medium soft. But we may see something different along the lines. Maybe they will think the alternate strategy is just a little bit quicker than your usual soft medium strategy. But it's going to be interesting nevertheless, and definitely something to be watched out for, because the strategy is something that can win you races and can definitely lose you them.
Yeah, certainly. It's going to be intriguing to see how all the drivers play it. I think we're all used to it on this game now. Soft medium tends to be the strategy at most circuits, and I can see that being the way all the way from rain that can happen, and that will definitely blow the strategy out the window for everyone. Now, as I'm sure you were all aware, there were a few issues with the game in recent times, which we've had a new lobby update, which has made things a bit crazy. I can let you all know that collisions we believe are going to be turned off for qualifying, just to try and eliminate any issues in that. But we did do some testing earlier, and thankfully everything did work absolutely fine. This is definitely not a track where you do want desyncing to happen. It should be a fascinating qualifying session. Shortest track on the calendar in terms of time. Expected to see, obviously, 102s, 103s. One slight mistake in qualifying could be the difference between, you know, pole position, starting at the lower part of the top 10, or getting out of Q1, or qualifying towards the back of the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this track is a track that bites. You can see it in the real life. Obviously, if you make that one small mistake, it's absolutely game over. Just as you were thinking, probably off the mind now. Turn 5, turn 6, near the end of sector 2, you have that little left-hander where Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc got into a little bit of a tangle last season. But if you get onto the gravel there, it's pretty much game over. And obviously, you don't want to be happening with that. You want to get all the clean runs you need as possible. Obviously, you don't want to be starting the season off in the bottom 16. No, you don't. But it's definitely going to be interesting. Those laps definitely need to count because Austria is a track that bites. Obviously, just looking at their Remus as well. If you just go into a too low a gear, you can spin the car. That's a very technical corner as well. Slosh Gold as well. You need to carry as much speed as you can. As the corner I was talking about, Roush as well at turn 4, turn 5. It's all very, very, very difficult corners, very technical ones as well. So it may be very, very, very fast and very fun to drive, but it's definitely a very, very tricky circuit.
Yeah, it might only have officially 10 corners. I think realistically you could argue only about 7 or 8 of them that you've actually got to worry about that aren't just flat out corners or continuations of other ones. But it's definitely a circuit that you've got to treat with some respect. Getting your setup right, as always, is important. And again, with the lobby restart, this does open the possibility to maybe a few of the drivers picking more aggressive setups in qualifying, knowing that they've only got to get one good lap in, and going for something that's a bit more safe and a bit more consistent for the race.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the setups will play something up, of course. I probably would assume that all the drivers probably have 2 setups for this race. Obviously, as you said, a very, very aggressive one for qualifying, which is pure flat out, very, very low wings, if you like, and very aggressive sort of style to it, just to get those lap times in. And then when they get to the race time, they'll choose a little bit more of a racy setup, maybe a less aggressive one, just to save the tyres in the end. But yeah, obviously, if you like, sort of park firmly turned off, if you like, for the setup front. Obviously, the top 10 still have to choose the soft compound tyres. So it's definitely going to be interesting how the setups play. I think that's probably, you're right there with the aggressiveness on qualifying for the setups and a little bit lenient in the race. So I think that makes it a little bit happier for the drivers that they can choose the setups they want for the qualifying and then don't worry about the race too much. So I think that's definitely a benefit towards that. But we should be getting into qualifying soon in a moment's time. So it's time to find out who has the pace in the first round of the season.
Yes, certainly it is. We've had some questions in the chat about how things are going to work with the point system. It is the same as used in real Formula 1, so 25, 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1. I had to think quite a lot about what the point system actually was in Formula 1 there, which is slightly concerning. And of course, the fastest lap point if you finish, I should say, in the top 10. So there's always that strategical element. If you're just outside the points, the possibility to steal points off of someone else always makes things a bit interesting in Formula 1. And I can tell you now, we are not too far away from getting this lobby ready and being able to get underway. What kind of things are we going to see in qualifying? Obviously, an advantage of being such a short track is you can get probably 4 laps in, whereas at a lot of tracks, you're limited to 3.
Yeah, definitely. I think probably you do see that in real life. A lot of people, a lot of the teams usually go for multiple runs instead of 2 or 3, where you're usually seeing in the short qualifying session, maybe even limited to 2, as you want to save that one fresh set of soft compound tyres for the race. But now that's a little bit scrapped out the window. You could probably see a lot of drivers probably electing for 3 sets of softs in Q1, so we may see 3 sets of runs, but we may see a few people just trying for 2 just to keep it steady, maybe save a few tyres going into Q2, but we never know how it's going to play out in the end. So the drivers obviously know more than we do, the managers know more than we do, the engineers know more than we do, so it's definitely going to be interesting, and yeah, we're about to get ready for the first qualifying session of the season.
Yeah, there's a reason why we're commentators and not driving here tonight. I think it's definitely say we've got the creme de la creme on the PC platform. So let's head in to the qualifying session, quali number 1. And as you see, in a lot of qualifying sessions across many leagues, I think esports made this quite famous. A few of the drivers heading out there on the set of the intermediate track tyres just to obviously check that everything's working, check that their setups are on correctly, check that they're not having any technical issues. We've seen that plague many drivers across many leagues before, having issues with their own equipment, monitors, PCs, internet as well, and the new update causing a few issues. But Duncan Hoffland, he's definitely not hanging around, going out there straight away on a set of the soft tyres. You can see there Moldovan and Stadchelek choosing the more traditional for esports intermediate set for their first run.
The interesting thing about, well, I know why the reason people try to use the intermediate tyres, just as you said, just to make sure everything's looking tasty on their rig, nothing's pulling or squeaking at least, so hopefully everything is running well for them. This is the reason why, obviously, Duncan Hoffland knows that everything should be working for him, so he's not messing about at all, going onto the soft compound tyres for his first run in qualifying, and he's about to come into turn 1 now. Braking around the 100-meter board you want to be as you head in towards the right. Cut it as much as you can as you head into 4th gear. DRS wide open, Red Bull on the side of him. That's one of the Shazoo drivers of either Milan Barcel or Harlan Marquis. Coming to turn 2, 15.941 for sector 1 on Duncan Hoffland in the McLaren for VSR tonight. DRS wide open for the second time in this track as you have a long back straight going into Slosh Gold of 3 of the Mercedes. Just getting out of the way there. That's Pablo Armengol for the ET8 team as he rides on towards the curbs through Slosh Gold and into Rauch of 4. Big braking zone into the left-hander around 50 meters. You want to be braking, head on towards the curb, into Wolfworth curve. Left-hander, very, very tricky, riding onto the curbs as much as you can, and then you have the double fast flat-out right-hander of Rint, and then the Red Bull Mobile of turn 8 at the final corner, on towards the curb, in towards the final corner for Duncan Hoffland, goes a little bit too wide, and an invalidation it is to boot for Duncan Hoffland, 3.489. It was looking like, Leona, this and next is what you get around here. Unfortunate for Duncan Hoffland, it was looking a very, very good lap.
Yeah, it was looking like a very good banker lap indeed, and this is how Austria can bite. It's not something we spoke so much about in the introduction, but track invalidations, track limits are always a big risk around here, especially around that final corner. And as you can see by the track map, that doesn't only ruin the lap you are on, it ruins the next one as well. So Duncan Hoffland will be heading back towards the pits. He's gone out on that set of soft tyres, probably not on this lap, certainly not putting too much wear and tear into them. He'd have wanted to get a solid banker lap in straight away, and he is going to have to wait. One of the reserve drivers is out there, Carter Lundy, of course, reserving for Parnell tonight. It was meant to be Jack West, so these guys will have been practicing. I know from being in VSR, they're generally practicing with their entire roster for the league, but perhaps coming in a bit later on, you're ever so slightly less prepared than some of the others who've known they've been racing for at least 24 hours.
It definitely gets a little bit tasty, but obviously I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the drivers who the reserves are, who are on the driver list, will definitely probably be practicing with them. Carter Lundy just crossing the line now, one of the reserves for today, for the season, as Pablo Armengol goes into P1 on his intermediate time, 11.693. Carter Lundy on the medium compound tyres, so not wasting his soft compound tyres just yet as he breaks towards turn 1, 15.926, so very similar to Duncan Hoffland's time on the soft compound tyres, so that is very, very encouraging for Carter Lundy that he's up there with the soft runners as he comes in towards turn 3. Slosh Gold breaking around the 100-meter board on towards the curb, right-hander missing that first curb ever so slightly, and on towards the left one as well, but shouldn't scrape any time off his lap at all as he goes into turn 4, rush corner, and in towards the curve of the left one at turn 5, on towards the curve in turn 6, which is of course no name, and then into the final turn, 2 turns of Rince and Red Bull Mobile. Duncan Hoffman does go quicker in the end to a 3.574. Here comes Carter Lundy, who may get a little bit of a tasty toe from Modesto Mena as Carter Lundy crosses the line to do a 3.609. But I think he should definitely be happy with that. He's up there with the soft compound tyre runners. Duncan Hoffman, who's done 3 laps on those softs to do a 3.574, and Carter Lundy's only about a couple and a half a seconds, half a tenth of a second slower than Duncan Hoffman there. So that's a very decent medium run from him.
Yeah, certainly, and Carter's definitely impressed me. He seems to have improved over the last few months of the game, has put in some fantastic performances, clearly good enough to attract Parnell Racing, and that is a very decent lap indeed. Only 600ths of a second slower than the man who's just gone fastest, Primož Miklevčić, of course, who we saw in Esports Challengers putting in some good performances, and Jack Laverty there on a 103.518. Most of these times on the medium tyres. Duncan, the only one we've seen so far, sitting a lap on a set of the hard tyres, on the softs even, I should say. He did do them for 3 laps, so not expected that they will have been at their optimum. As Carter Lundy heading into the pit lane, they have been told that they've got to obviously not cross that pit entry with all 4 wheels. It is certainly one at Austria that does cause a few issues for the drivers, and can be very awkward in qualifying as well. If you're on an outlap heading in towards the pits and someone's coming flying behind you, you've definitely got to have your eyes in your mirrors, otherwise you could find yourself getting a big punishment from the stewards.
Yeah, definitely so. The pit lane around here is definitely a very, very interesting one. Obviously, it's coming in towards the penultimate corner, and obviously going quite slow in towards the kind of the nature if you want to come in towards the pit lane. As Jonah Martins puts it into P6 with a 3.706. But yeah, the pit lane, very, very interesting one. Obviously, it's not at the final corner as it usually is on many tracks. So it's a difficult one to try and master, and a difficult one just to try and get out of the way. Usually in some leagues there are some sort of things where you usually just, there's a little bit of a weave you do just to say, look, I'm going into the pits, please don't hit me. Go around the outside, but it's definitely going to be interesting with the way things work, and obviously with people heading into the pit lane. It does cause a few confusions, but obviously with collisions off for qualifying, it should be all okay for a lot of the drivers. Oscar Villacampa goes pole position on medium compound tyres. Interesting that a lot of people are electing for the mediums and not the soft straight away, so just want to save those soft compound tyre runs for later on in this race. But these soft compound tyres run are very competitive, as Oscar Villacampa 3.4 on the mediums. That's very good lap. We usually see them a lot from a few of the soft compound runners, and those laps are very quick. So to do these guys on the medium compound tyres is absolutely incredible, and obviously the grip isn't just that quite there yet. In Q1, there's only 9 minutes left, so there's still a lot more time to be found as the laps go on. But 3.4 for Oscar Villacampa. He's almost a tenth quicker than Jack Laverty in P3 was P2, as Lenny Papinta puts it into P2 for ADRT with a 3.488 on the mediums as well. Only a selective few on the softs, but yeah, interesting that a lot of people are going for the mediums straight off the bat.
Yeah, traditional what we see, obviously, usually in real Formula 1, a lot of drivers going for that set of the medium tyres early on, trying to save the softs for a bit later, but quite a few of these drivers now, I think, who've made mistakes perhaps on their first run, got invalidations, deciding to just go for it now. And of course, some of these we didn't see come out until quite later on. One of these is Peter Stachelek for the RAG team. Neither of them have set any times at the moment. We've still got 6 yet to set a time, as Ruben Pedreno now becomes the first driver to get into the 1 minute 3.3. He's incredibly close at this qualifying session at the moment. Top 10 drivers separated by just over 0.3 of a second, and I'm sure once we see Azildarim, Harvey, Moldovan, Sipos, Stachelek and Marquis set sometimes, it's going to stay just as close in this first qualifying session. Let us know who you think is going to get on pole position in around half an hour's time. Let us know who you think is going to get eliminated from this first session. Will there be any team where both their drivers get caught out? RHG yet to have anyone set a time, and perhaps unsurprisingly on that set of softs it is Stachelek who goes fastest, and Azildarim into second place, showing straight away why there were a lot of people's pre-season favourites.
Yeah, no question about that from RHG on the soft compound tyres, getting their runs fairly easy, and that should be a safe time to set them through in towards Q2. 3.1 from Stachelek and a 3.2 from Ulas Zildjians, and they're very, very close together. Actually, to be precise, they're almost around 45 thousandths between each other, as they're doing absolutely fantastically for their teams. Ruben Janyo putting it in P3 on the medium compound tyres. Patrick Sipos is now on a lap as he makes his way through turn 6 now, in towards Rint of 7. Obviously, race clutch driver and part of the Alpine Esports setup for the Real Life Pro-Am Esports. As he flies towards the final corner on his medium run, can he dethrone the 1-2 that RAG have? He crosses the line, cannot do so, but puts it into a race clutch 3-4 on the second row with a 3.365. So immediately, as we suspected pre-season, it's RAG and RC and race clutch on the front row, and then Thomas Harvey putting it into P3 on a soft front for VSR, and we always thought they would pose a threat as well alongside Parnell, and Thomas Harvey does exactly that and makes it a third place spot for him with a 3.310 on the soft compound tyres. About a tenth slower than Ulas Zildjian there, but a very good lap there from Thomas Harvey.
Yeah, certainly. Slots him into third place for now. I think he should be safe on that one. Anyone maybe on a 103.4, 103.5 might just be feeling a bit nervous at the moment. We've still got some drivers, as you can see there. A lot of the field has set their best laps on a set of the mediums at the moment. It is only Harvey, Puerto, Hoffland and Armengo that have done their best laps currently on a set of the soft tyres. So this is going to be an interesting one. As the session goes on, you can expect that time to come down quite a lot as Jonah Martins now puts himself up into 4th place. We're looking at his teammate, Primoz Miklavčić. Did a very respectable job on the Challenger Series on the PC platform. Just didn't quite have the consistency. Meant he was unable to get himself into the top 6, but was very happy to finish, I believe it was 8th place overall. And this is looking like a pretty good lap from the Slovenian driver at the moment as he comes into the final couple of corners of 9 and 10. Just about manages to keep it nice and clean, leaving quite a bit of a margin through the final corner. And that is still good enough to put him into 2nd place on a 103.190. So we think he should be safe on that one. A team who might be just starting to get worried at the moment would be Shazoo. Marquis yet to set a time, but Esu down there in a 114.1, and he has invalidated on this lap as well. So Shazoo leaving it quite late if they want to get through to Q2.
Yeah, definitely so, but that's an absolutely fantastic lap from Miklavčić there to put it up there and dethrone the RHG 1-2 they have. That's a great time from him, and I'm sure WL will be absolutely pleased with that one. But yeah, a few warning signs for Shazoo with only 4 minutes and 35 seconds left of the session. 2 of their drivers, 19th and 20th, with Harlan Marquis not setting a lap time yet, and Badesu still not on the timing boards as he invalidates his first run, but he's looking likely to go again as he crosses the line now. Does he have a double invalidation? No, he doesn't, thankfully, for his sake. And Harlan Marquis just coming out of the picture now into the final corner on his outlap. So they really need to make these laps count right here, right now, if they want to get out of qualifying. And same can be said for Modesta Romena in P18, Duncan Hoffland as well in P17, and Bogdan Moldovan in P16. But yeah, I think probably 3.3s should see you safely through. Maybe a low 3.4 if you're lucky with Oscar Villacampa for his sake. But yeah, 3.3s, 3.4 should safely see you through into Q2.
Yes, as we expected with a field this close, everyone has now gone for a set of the soft tyres, even the 2 race clutch drivers. So we're looking pretty nice not so long ago. Sitting pretty in 3rd and 4th place, find themselves down now in 7th and 8th, less than 2 tenths off of what is the cut-off time. It's currently Cartalondi who is just on the bubble. We've got a yellow flag, and that is Miklavčić, who's retired from the session. He's feeling confident, unsurprisingly, on that 103.1. As Milan Badescu goes across the line on a 103.357, likely to be his final run in this session, puts him into 7th place for now. So we're definitely hitting towards the interesting part of the session. Harlan Marquis, his teammate, just trying to build up a bit of a gap. And that's another awkward thing around this circuit. You've got 20 cars, 63-second lap times. You're only going to either have, you know, maybe a second in front of you, a couple of seconds in front, a couple of seconds behind of space. Traffic is going to be a problem, certainly, in this first session.
Yeah, absolutely so, and you can just see in the mini-map there the amount of traffic that Marquis has to try and master here. He's got the Alfa Romeo just in front, and then the Haas, and also I think that's a Williams and an Alfa Tauri just in front of him, and he's going very, very wide there. He's just not getting to grips with the track. To be fair to him, he's just not. It's not clicking for him right now, which is just unfortunate. He's still got 2 minutes and 18 seconds left. He's still got time just for a few more runs, but only a few, maybe about 2 on those soft compound tyres. If he can make it, but definitely worrying times for the Shizukan. But obviously a good lap there from Milan there to put it into P8 with a 3.357. That should surely save him through, and it does so as he retires in the pit lane. Pretty happy with that one. Ulas Zildjian also on a lap at the moment as he makes his way through the final corner, 86 thousandths up in towards sector 2 as he rounds the final corner. His teammate Piotr Stachudek will follow him through on his outlap. Ulas Zildjian puts it in towards the front row with that 1.8 with that 3.187, just about a few thousand slower than Piotr Stachudek, who's just on a lap now, giving the tow to his teammate is Ulas Zildjian. 1 minute 30 seconds left to go in the session. Of another one just to be worried about is Modestro Mena, who has invalidated in towards turn 1. So this next lap that he does has to make it count, otherwise he is out of qualifying. Alongside could be said for Carter Lundy and of course the other PR team of Jack Laverty in P16 as well, but they're still setting time, so there's still more time to be set here, but it's definitely going to be tasty near the end with only 1 minute left to go.
Yeah, it is. 2 drivers who we know are going to be out then is Moldovan and Marquis. Both of those two in the pit lane with a minute to go. So we know 2 of the drivers who are heading out in this session. Maynard's not going to have a lot of time to get a lap in. And the two Parnell Racing drivers who are looking supremely quick earlier on. Well, I was about to say they were 16th and 17th. Carter Lundy has now just banged it up towards 7th as Stauchalek goes 1,000th of a second quicker. Sets the fastest time in this session. Pedrero and Harvey are tied. The top 4 drivers are separated by were separated by 100th of a second as Marcus Short for TF10 comes across the line on a 103.153. We've got 6 drivers on the 103.1s at the moment, and this is only Q1. Imagine how close things are going to get towards the end of the session, but they are really starting to heat up now. Oscar Villacampa, he's heading towards the finish line. He is improving. He's only about a 1/10 of a second up, but with how close things are in this session, that could really drag him a long way up the order as he heads towards the line. Only gets himself up into 14th at the end. I'm not quite sure that is going to be enough to get him safely through. Checkered flag is out in this session. Patrick Sibos comes across the line. He invalidated, so he can only get in towards 13th place. It's getting quite tight all of a sudden in this session. Jack Laverty shot himself up into 7th. Carter Lundy now takes that 7th position. Thomas Harvey dives his way into the pits. Can Armengol get a time done towards the finish line in that Mercedes? Again, not finding too much of an improvement. I don't think this is going to be enough, and it isn't. He slots into 17th for now. So FER and ET8, as things stand, are going to have both of their drivers heading out in this session. Mayner comes across the line. Can only get himself up into 18th. And what is Puerto doing at the moment? He's just under a 1/10 of a second up. So this could put Halliday and maybe even Villacampa back into trouble. Halliday does not improve on a 103.379. So it is Alvaro Puerto taking a very interesting line and bailing on his lap. He's given up on that one. So it is 16th place for him. And we know the drivers who are getting eliminated in this session. Puerto, Armengol, Mena, Moldovan and Harlan Marquis, who didn't set a representative lap time.
Yeah, a little bit of a shock there that FVR are out that early with 16th and 18th. They're definitely not going to be happy with that. ETA definitely not going to be happy with that one either. 17th and 19th, and then Harlan Marquis just not really getting to grips with the lap time there in P20 for Shazoo, and a little bit of a worrying times actually for Patrick Sipos. I was seeing the laps tumble down, and obviously his unvalidated run would have put him into P2 on that run. I was getting a little bit nervous as I think that lap time was probably going to be beatable there on the 365, but definitely wasn't. But he'll be absolutely happy with that lap. Is this man here, Marcus Short for TF10, puts it on pole in, on the front row so far. But look at that, the top 9 separated by less than a 1/10 of a second. That is absolutely fantastic. First tonight separated by 88 thousandths of a second, and Jack Laverty and Lenny Papinta sharing exactly the same time. That is absolutely what you want to see from this championship.
Yeah, it is. Marcus Short fastest in that first session then. The top 6 divers separated by half a tenth of a second. The top 9 separated by a tenth. Duncan Hoffland rounding out that top 10 on a 103.2. And you can see there, it is Puerto, Armengo, Mena, Moldovan and Marquis failing to get through to that session. R8G, perhaps as we expected, really putting the hammer down in the early stages, setting their stall out early.
Yeah, definitely so. R8G on the form they have been all season, all game to be honest, from them, and stamping their authority on this championship with that 2-3, should I say, with Piotr Stachelek in P2 and Ursa Zildjian in P3. But yeah, definitely stamping their authority there, and they should do so. That's an absolutely fantastic outing from them. But yeah, very good outing as well from Marcus Short, the debutant, as well on the PC side of things, making his first few races for the team for TF10. Obviously, he was part of the PlayStation Championship, finished P10 overall. So just had a difficult season in challenges, but he's come back absolutely fighting on the PC side, and he's put it on P1 in Quali 1. So should be some very exciting things from TF10's point of view. Yeah, I think they'll be absolutely delighted with that performance there by Marcus Short. As you said, one of his first times on the PC. Perhaps didn't expect possibly to see that at the moment, but he's obviously proved that he can adapt very well to the new platform, as quite a few of these drivers are having to do now. Now that challenge is over, we are seeing some more, obviously come over full time towards the PC side. So qualifying 2 is on the way then. 15 minutes in this session, the drivers just starting to head out there, and again some of the drivers going for a set of the medium tyres just to get that banker lap in. We're expecting anywhere around the 103.2s might be what you need to do, possibly even with a track evolution having to get into the 103.1s to have any chance of getting through into the top 10. Yeah, 103.2s, 103.1 should probably be the cut-off time. This is where we'll probably be seeing the likes of a lot of the fast guys go for those 1 minute 2 lap times from the likes of Azildrum, Piotr Stachelek as well, Patrick Sipos as well. Will definitely be giving it full send as well. Some of the guys that will definitely be trying to put them in as well. We could see a few shocks as well, but it's definitely going to be a fantastic Q2 session. 12 minutes 53 seconds left to go, and the first man out, as I just say that, goes to Zildjian in towards Turn 1, making an absolute meal of Turn 1, getting onto the grass, and lucky not to lose a wheel there, getting a little bit tasty there. Yeah, I think that was a certified code round moment for Azildjian, having a massive slide out of turn number 1. I know, and trust me, I've done this before. I've crashed at most places on this Formula 1 game. If you do run wide out of turn 1, sometimes it's better to go so far wide that you can sometimes get away without an invalidation. You lose lots of time, but there is a massive bump in the tarmac runoff area on turn number 1. I know that's not what Azildjian did, just looked like he got a bit hot on the throttle, but that might be something to watch out for, especially on lap number 1 of the race, where the drivers are getting very close side by side. We've seen a lot of interesting things happen on turn number 1 here in real life, as Oscar Villacampa comes across the line, puts it into second place for now on a 103.5. Again, Jonah Martins doing a respectable lap on the mediums on a 103.7. It looks like things are a bit more overcast for this session than they were in qualifying 1, so that might be something we need to watch out for, whether we do see any rain in this session or perhaps in Q3, which would definitely spice things up indeed. A reminder that the top 10 in this session do have to start the race on the same compound of tyres. As it will be a new lobby, it will not be the same tyres, so they will obviously get a fresh choice. What that basically means, top 10 will be starting on a set of the soft tyres, as Jack Laverty goes fastest of everyone on a 103.348. Sipos is second. I think one of the few drivers at the moment who's actually gone faster than what he did in the first session. Obviously, we would have seen a better time for him if it wasn't for that invalidation. And let's see what Lenny Paventa can do then for ADRT. They've managed to get both of their drivers through, as have the majority of the teams. It's Shazoo who might be disadvantaged here with Milan Badeshau. He's on his own. He can't take advantage of any slipstream and any help from his teammate in this session. Yeah, Badeshau, only driver on his own for his own team day in towards Q2. Just unfortunate that his teammate could not follow him through, but definitely has the pace for the top 10, and he's currently on that medium run of a 3.803. Lenny Pepinta actually puts it on pole position. That is a brilliant lap time there from the Frenchman, who puts it into pole with a 3.141. Definitely stabbing his authority there, and I think to go to show, no disrespect to ADRT, but they're definitely outperforming there. Obviously, Lenny Pepinta, we know he's an absolutely beast on the game, currently leading the championship in the WR Tier 2 PC side of things. So we know his capabilities, but we definitely thought that a lot of the teams like RAG and TF10 and RC would probably be putting it up there with them. But it's definitely great to see him up there, currently leading the way by 0.2 of a second. And with the cloud cover coming in, it could get a little bit spicy, and you never know, he might stay there for the rest of qualifying.
Yeah, it could do indeed, which would be, you know, superb news for Lenny Pepinta. Like you said, a very quick driver. We've seen that across multiple tiers. He's had the odd opportunities in some top tiers on the PC, which quite a few of the times they're basically, you know, same level as esports, and definitely a higher level than what we see in the challengers. So Lenny Pepinta proving that we've got a lot of quality in this field. I know we've gone on a lot about R8G versus Race Clutch probably being the main battle to watch out for, with VSR, Parnell and some of the others getting their way through, but Lenny Pepinta's proving, don't think there's really any teams you can write off. Likewise, Marcus Short with TF10 being fastest in the last session, but it is Pepinta fastest at the moment with just over 9 minutes remaining. Levity, Sipos, Short, Lundy, Villacampa, Hoffland, Martens, Bereschel and Stouchelet, the only drivers that have set a time at the moment. Interestingly, that R8G is going out again on a set of the medium tyres. Clearly feeling pretty confident, unsurprisingly, about the pace that they've got. They're feeling that they can get away with possibly just the one run on fresh softs at the end of the session.
They can definitely think so as well. So those are the only drivers actually on the medium compounded tyres. So I think just a little bit of a nod that they want to start on the alternate strategy. But with everyone else trying the soft compound tyres, there may be just a little bit of a disadvantage for the first opening laps of the race. But definitely going to be interesting the way that plays out for them. But you never know, we might see something they don't. Maybe the rain will come, or maybe it won't, and if probably it won't, I wouldn't be surprised if they do strap on the set of soft compound tyres and just follow as everyone else will do. As Patrick Sipos comes out for his second run of the session on the soft compound tyres, currently sitting P3 on a 3.55, just a couple of thousand slower than Jack Laverty in P2 in the AlphaTauri. As Primoz Mitrovic as well on a lap alongside Jonah Martins, just making his way up the hill as well. Thomas Harvey also on a lap just in front as some coming towards the line. TF10 driver, that is I believe Oscar Villacampa, I believe. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't actually. It was Marcus Short just crossing the line as he's gone a little bit too wide in towards turn one, and that is an invalidation for the youngster. As one of the Alpine drivers, that's Ruben Pedreño, just comes towards the line to start his lap as well. A few more drivers just starting their laps as well, as Peter Stachelek coming towards the final corner on his second medium run across the line. He will come absolutely attacking life out of those medium compound tyres, and that is a lap and a half from Piotr Stachelek, 3.278 on the medium compound tyres, just shy of Lenny Pepinta's 3-minute 1.41 on the soft compound tyres, but an absolutely fantastic run there from Lenny Pepinta.
Yeah, superb job there by Stachelek on a 103.278. I think probably just going to miss out on the top 10 with that lap time, as Ildrim goes 4 thousandths slower than his teammate, but if you can get into the top 10 on that set of the medium tyres, you are going to be looking very good for the race. It might be squeaky bum time, though, in the R8G garage if they are going to sit this out for the remaining 6 and 2/3 minutes on that set of the medium tyres. Could be a bit panicky for them. Thomas Harvey, as we've seen so many drivers do, invalidate coming through the final corner, so he's ruined on this lap as well. Whether he'll try and do a third lap on that same set of tyres, we'll have to wait and see. Halliday in 9th place pulls it into the pits as we see Oscar Villacampa go up into 4th. Ruben Pedreño, he's heading towards the finish line. What can he do for Race Clutch? Fastest of everyone. First time then tonight in the 1 minute free. He's with a 103.087. Probably the only driver, and I think this is a bit bold to say with 6 minutes to go, but probably the only driver that we can say, I'm going to be confident. I think that'll be good enough to get him through into the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. So I couldn't agree with you more there. 3.0 should pretty much safely see you through there. I think the cutoff, as we said just before Q2 started, should be around the 1 minute 3.2s, 3.1s even, if you're lucky enough. But now actually we're looking likely it should be around the 3.4s, but the track's only going to get quicker and quicker and quicker. So maybe 3.3s, high to mid 3.3 should see you through, but it's definitely going to be much quicker as we go on towards the session. But Ruben Pedreno showing why he is at Race Clutch and why he's with the Alpine Esports Academy team with that 3 minute 0.8, 3 minutes 0.087 there. An absolutely mega lap from him as usual, as his teammate of Patrick Sipos for tonight, currently in P4 with that 3.264. Marcus Short as well on a 2.82. That's just how close it is between the two drivers. So it's 4th and 6th, and they're separated by almost 200ths of a second. It's just incredible to see. And obviously Marcus Short and Ursa Zildjian tied on the same time. It's just something that you absolutely love to see, and something why I just love esports so much, that the times are just that close and the grids are just that great, and that's so close, and it's just great to see, to be honest, and that's why we all love esports.
I don't know why I'm surprised by it anymore. It happens so often, even around tracks that are a lot longer than this. We see incredibly close lap times. It's normal now for esports to see, what we got, 5 drivers on a 103.2 at the moment. If you add Jonah Martins in, you've got 6 drivers almost within half a tenth of a second. It's incredible to see. It still surprises me, but it probably shouldn't, because this is the level we have got in esports at the moment, and this is the level you can expect to see in the qualifying, in the race, over the next 10 weeks, of course. It is very quiet out on track at the moment. Duncan Hoffland, the only man out there for VSR at this moment in time, with 4 minutes remaining. Both VSR drivers finding themselves outside of the top 10. It would currently be Halliday, Hoffland, Badesho, and then you've got Mick Levcic and Thomas Harvey, those 2 drivers yet to set a lap time in this session. This is where the pressure's on. This is where you earn your money, so to speak. Although I'm sure plenty of people saw the VSR contract today and were probably wondering where the money was within that. But Duncan Hoffland and Thomas Harvey, this is it for them now. They've got to try to get themselves up the order. I'm still surprised by the lack of teamwork we've seen in these sessions. Not a lot of drivers choosing to help others. I think, is that just the risk of getting it wrong and distracting your teammate, or because of how close things are, obviously not wanting to compromise your own runs?
A few people electing not to give the slipstream. I've noticed a few, mainly from the RHG team with Stachelek and Ulas Zildjian. Ulas has been giving it a little bit to Stachelek down in towards turn 1, but that's about it really. I think, yeah, probably your answer is probably correct there, with just trying to get people just getting away with it, just letting them do what they do best, and just getting those clean runs in, as Duncan Hoffland is going to be trying one more time to get out of qualifying. And the drivers who really need to improve is probably around Villacampa, Martins, Lundy, Halliday, Hoffland, Badesho, Miklovic and Harvey really need to try and improve on their times here. But I think probably from Villacampa, maybe a Zildjian upwards, the bottom 7 probably may need to have to go again, but it's just that tight, to be honest, that it's definitely going to be tight. Maybe even bottom 6, as for Marcus Short is tied with Ulas Zildjian there, but it's that tight that we still don't know what is good enough to go through to Q3 right now. And with 10 minutes to go, it's going to be very, very tight as we cross the line now with Duncan Hoffland. Did actually back out of that one in the end. Jan Halliday also on a lap, so he just crosses the line to start his final run, and a lot more drivers out on laps right now. Speaking of which, Patrick Sipos on a lap as well, alongside Peter Stachelek, who's actually just gone purple in Sector 1 as well. So the top, those 2 are probably favourites to try and win this race. We're definitely on the ball right now with 2 purple sectors.
Yeah, great times then from Stachelek and Zildjian, going for a second warm-up lap, which is what we've also saw Duncan Hoffland doing as well. A technique you wouldn't have seen on some of the older Formula 1 games, but definitely common on this one. The soft tyres seem to definitely hang on for that second fast lap in qualifying, and it doesn't cause too many issues for you, as one of the Aston Martins getting well out of the way of Stachelek then. Coming around the final couple of corners, Sipos goes fastest and makes it a race clutch 1-2. Not sure how long that's going to be the case for. The Haas comes across the line, and he's the first man to get into the 1 minute 02s, and a 102.981 for Stachelek. I think you can say those top 5 are sitting pretty at the moment. Halliday can only get himself up into 6th place. Duncan Hoffland hasn't improved either. He's still sitting in 11th at the moment. So it is definitely nervy times in VSR. Thomas Harvey going for this second warm-up lap. He'd invalidated, in fact, on that one. So with 45 seconds to go, him and Miklovic have still yet to set a time. And I think Miklovic had invalidated the lap he was on as well. We're not seeing loads of improvements at the moment. I'd say there's going to be a lot of nervous team bosses, nervous engineers at the moment as we head towards the end of this session. We'll see if Duncan Hoffland is improving at this moment in time. Just over 20 seconds to go. Pedreno retires in the pits, unsurprisingly, and Hoffland is half a tenth down. It looks like we're going to have a bit of a shock in this Q2 session.
Yeah, it's definitely nervy times for VSR and WOR here. 11th and 14th for WOR, 13th and 15th for VSR. Duncan Hoffland not really up by much as he crosses the line now. Does he find anything in Sector 3? He doesn't, and he is out of qualifying here in Q2. Thomas Harvey, his teammate, also on a lap. Does he find time? I'm not quite sure. 43.9 in Sector 2. Is that going to be enough as he makes his way through the final corner and crosses the line? It is enough just for now with that P8 lap time. Puros Miklovic has invalidated. He will not be out of qualifying. But meanwhile, Jonah Martins, his teammate, just got out. But is it going to be enough? Ulas Zildjian also in the drop zone as well for RHG. Can he try anything else? He's actually out of fuel. So Ulas Zildjian, a shock there. Ulas Zildjian is out of qualifying and Jan Halliday is in the pit lane. So Ulas Zildjian for RHG is out of qualifying in Q2 alongside Jan Halliday, Milan Barceo and Duncan Hoffland and Primoz Miklovic, who did not get a time set. But that is a big shock with Ulas Zildjian in P11, and I did think that time from Ulas and Marcus Short was not going to be enough. But look at that. P10 and P11 are separated on points. Marcus Short has only got into Q3 because he set his lap time first. And that's just how much it can bite you in full qualifying. And that is how close it is between Ulas Zildjian and Marcus Short. Exactly the same time with a 1 minute 3.210. And only Ulas Zildjian out first because he set his lap second to Marcus Short. That's how close it is in esports.
Yeah, cool for Zildjian. And I think that was the second time in that session we saw identical times from Short and Zildjian. But he is, Zildjian, the biggest name you could argue heading out in that session. Starting in 11th, though, probably not going to be the worst thing, as you can just see there, the drivers that have headed out in that session. It was Stauchalek leading it, Sipos in second, Lundy, Pedreno, Papinta, Villacampa, Martens, Harvey, Levity, and Marcus Short. Those are the 10 drivers that will be contesting for pole position, with Zildjian, Halliday, Badescu, Hoffland, and Miklovic. They are all heading out just for whatever reason. I mean, we saw, obviously, Zildjian left it quite late, and I think it did tend to be all those drivers just perhaps running out of fuel slightly towards the end, and running out of ERS, I think it was the case for Duncan Hoffland.
Yeah, I think that's probably what the case what happens really with the ERS just losing out there, and fuel as well, as we saw Ulas Zildjian going a little bit slowly out of Sector 3, which is probably why he decided to abandon his lap and pull it in the pit lane. He was going a little bit slow down the back straight of going into Rinse, so that's why he backed out of that one. Unfortunate to see, and now Stachelek is the one who is going to be alone, but thankfully for VSR they did get one driver out with Thomas Harvey, same with WOR with Jonah Martins getting out of qualifying as well. But the two teams that will definitely be happy with that one is three teams actually, is TF10, Parnell Racing and Race Clutch, who got all of their drivers through in towards qualifying for the final shootout. They'll definitely be happy with that one. And with 11 minutes 15 seconds to go as we get ready to go for Q3, shootout for pole is underway.
Yeah, the top 10 shootout is underway, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know who you think is going to take this pole position. Race Clutch looking good with both of their drivers through. So is Parnell, so is TF10. But it was Stauchalek who was fastest in that second session, getting into the 1 minute 02s. No one else managing to do that. Marcus Short was fastest in the first one. He only just snuck through by, well, less than a thousandth of a second. Things were extremely close. We might need to get IndyCar timing on the F1 game, given how close all these drivers are. We're not going to see any medium tyres in this session. It is now really any last little bit of performance that you've been saving in that car. Now is the time to bring it out. It's clear from the last session, to have any chance of pole position, you're going to have to get into the 1 minute 2s.
1 minute 2 is going to be pole position. Now, probably thinking with what Stakulek did with that 2.9, I reckon probably low 2.9s, high 2.8s will probably get you pole position here. I believe maybe if you are lucky with the way the track plays out in the end, if it does get a little bit cooler, we may see a very, very low 3 in the end. But I think you're probably going to be right with that one. I think 1 minute 2s will definitely be pole position here if you're lucky. But I think there's only a selected few that could probably do that. I think it's only going to be Sipos and Stakulek. Maybe Pedreño, if he gets a very good lap in, who will be probably in for the 1 minute 2s. But we never know with the flexibility. With the times that we have and the drivers that we have, anyone here is capable of a 1 minute 2, to be honest.
Yeah, certainly. We've already spoken about the calibre of drivers we've got here in what is arguably one of the top Pro-Am grids we've seen in F1 esports, definitely in terms of league racing in general. It's looking good for Race Clutch at the moment. We'll see what Pedreño could do on his first run. Doesn't look as though he's going absolutely flat out at the moment, but it is still going to be a very good time to set us off in this session. Oh, just invalidates coming through turn number 10. So it's Sipas who goes fastest on a 103.154. Pedreño would have been faster just marginally by a few thousandths of a second. Oscar Villacampa heading around the final couple of corners now. What can he do in the Aston Martin? Can he get into the 102s? No, slightly off on a 103.407. Of course, a few of these drivers, depending on how many tyres they've done, might be on a one set for this first lap and might only get that one lap on a fresh set of these soft tyres later on. So that is going to be something to watch out for. The final few minutes of this session, not that these first few minutes are going to be dull in any way, shape or form, but the final few minutes are definitely going to be the ones to watch. Thomas Harvey, who snuck through by the skin of his teeth by a few hundredths of a second in 8th position in Q2, heading through the final couple of corners now. The sole VSR man who made his way through to the top 10. What can Thomas Harvey do in the McLaren? Heads towards the line, and it is third place for him. Again, a 103.461, more than likely on a one set of the soft tyres. Interestingly, what we normally see in real Formula 1, and I've seen it plenty of times in league racing where they've used full qualifying sessions, is you have some drivers who tend to leave it until halfway the session and only go out for one run. It looks like all 10 of the drivers clearly trying to, get out while they've got some momentum and going for 2 runs in this session, even if it does mean using one use set and then a fresh set later.
I think it's probably wise to just use the old sets in qualifying. Well, for this instance, it doesn't really matter what soft run you use, as we will have a restart after this one, so after the qualifying session. But yeah, I think the good thing is just to try and get out on the old soft compound tyres, just to get a run in, and then just have your delta. About 1 minute left to go as Peter Stakulek puts it on pole position with a 3.124, just a little bit quicker than Patrick Sipos by about 300ths of a second exactly to Patrick Sipos there. 2 rivals will probably be forming throughout this season, but yeah, I think the old soft compound tyres are probably going to be your best bet early on, just to get that lap in, as Carter Lundy, Jack Laverty and Lenny Pipinta just deciding to bail out on their runs last minute. But I don't think it's very wise to just leave it till last minute. Obviously, you have just one shot to do it. If you do invalidate or make a mistake, then that's over. You will be starting P10 and at the back of the field in Q3. So it's not wise, but maybe a few people do it just to save the old sets also. But it's definitely going to be interesting. But a lot of people electing for all runs to start things off.
Yeah, it looks like Cartolundi's going for a second run here, which is what we saw Stakulek do after he invalidated his first one. Cartolundi didn't, but I can only imagine he did make a mistake somewhere. He's half a 10th up at the moment, then heading through the middle sector. He definitely backed off in the final sector last time around. Stakulek, Sipos, Martins, who we haven't spoken about a lot at the moment for WOR. He is currently in third place, Lundy wide through the final corner. And he's done that extra lap all for nothing, all in vain. Would have been good enough to get himself into third place. He's going to have to get round a bit sharper. He's still short track, still half the session to go. He is in 7th place for now, and we have got a few heading out a bit earlier than perhaps we expected. Sipos, Villacampa and Pedreño heading out early on, perhaps even trying to sneak in 3 runs in this session.
And maybe trying for the 3 runs. We never know. Patrick Sipos just about invalidating there into towards turn 1, just taking it a little bit too aggressively on the way in, and that is his lap over and done with. But he's definitely going to have one more run. Maybe if he just peels it into the pit lane, he may have that third extra run. But a lot of people trying it early. Patrick Sipos being one of them, alongside Oscar Villacampa, alongside Ruben Pedreño as well. So he's definitely looking for 2 runs, but he's invalidated as well. So the 2 race clutch drivers, both with a double invalidation, not what they want to see. So Oscar Villacampa has kept it clean, and he's 2 tenths up and looking likely to go purple in Sector 3 as well, as he makes his way through Sector 3, now up towards rink corner of P7, corner 7, sorry, and Red Bull Mobile of turn 8. Across the line comes Oscar Villacampa. Where can he put his Aston Martin machine? He can put it into P3, just shy of Patrick Sipos' time for 1 minute 3.154. Oscar Villacampa with a 3.174 there. Brilliant lap nevertheless. But he'll definitely be proud of that one with third place. His teammate Michael Schultz in P5 definitely can improve, as I believe he probably was on an old set of tyres. But now things will probably start to die down, and I think next 2 minutes or so we should be seeing an all guns blazing out for qualifying, and we'll see who's on pole position.
Yeah, certainly the calm before the storm at this moment in time. Not many drivers out there on track. You've got Villacampa heading his way back towards the pits. Lenny Papinta on an outlap at the moment. 4 minutes to go in this session. And Stauchalek, Sipos, Villacampa are your top 3 at the moment. Pedreño invalidating on that run again. Just going to have to leave it late. It's going to be all or nothing for him. And I think that's why we're seeing Papinta just head out a bit earlier on. He's yet to set a clean lap time. Looking at the times, it's only the top 6 that have really set anything representative at the moment. So just trying to avoid a bit of traffic, Papinta, and give himself as much time as possible in the Williams to get around the Red Bull ring. So let's go on board with the Frenchman. Throws the car over that curb at turn number 1. Just about inch perfect with the curbs through there. This long run towards number 2, which has been remodelled slightly. The vision chicane that the MotoGP cars bikes will be using this season. Heavy braking into turn number 3 there from Papinta. Textbook on the exit. Short shifting to get the best traction possible. DRS open again on the run down towards turn number 4. You've got to be careful with the braking zone here. You can see that Marshall flag on the left hand side. That is pretty much the perfect point to get onto the brakes and slam on the anchors as you come through 5 into 6 and 7. This is really where you start testing that front right tyre around this circuit. There's not too many corners where you need good downforce around here. It's normally the rears that take a bit more of a hammering. And now heading towards the final couple of corners where you need full commitment, but need to be careful not to get it too wide. We saw Cortalondo go flying over the curbs earlier on in this session. Papinta does the same, loses it on the entry. And what would have been a good enough time to get himself into second place, that's invalidated this run as well. I think that's probably Papinta's qualifying over.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of a slide out of the final corner. If there wasn't just a slide there, that may have been good enough for pole position there, but just a little bit too wide. And an invalidation there for the Frenchman. He's not going to be happy with that one, but he still has more time on that same set of soft compound tyres just to go for one more if he chooses. Patrick Sipos and Peter Stachelek now out on lap times, and both taking it cleanly in towards turn 1 this time. And Stachelek actually 8 thousandths down in towards sector 1. How much is Sipos down if he's up at all? He's down by 24 thousandths of a second. So it's front 2 not improving so far in towards sector 1. We stay on board with Peter Stachelek in towards the right hander and up towards Slosh Gold he goes, and into rush of 4. Rounding in towards the left-hander. How much is he up by sector 2? And I believe he's actually pulled out of that one. So Sipos will be trying to go again, and I believe he is not backing out of this one. And he's 63 thousandths up in towards sector 2. So he can definitely try and snatch pole position away from Stachelek here. Stachelek, hopefully, does he get out of the way? He's going to go for one more on the same set of soft compound tyre. He has to. He won't have enough time to go for one more, go into the pit lane. As he comes towards the final corner, comes Patrick Sipos completely on the limit there. Across the line, Sipos pole position, 3.028. Stachelek has gone quicker, but it's going to be very, very tight as he makes a little bit of a mess of turn 1. Stachelek went quicker into Q2. Ruben Pedreño puts it into P3 for race clutch. Cannot make it a 1-2, so Stachelek does block that 1-2 so far, but he's 92 thousandths down in towards sector 1. He has to make this lap count if he wants pole position away. He's gone quicker in Q2. Can he make it done in Q3?
Yeah, that's going to be intriguing indeed. Jack Laverty heads towards the finish line, puts himself up into second place there. Fantastic final sector for him. Villacampa now shoots himself up into third position. Marcus Short comes across the line. He couldn't improve at all. What can Stachulek do? He's 14 thousandths of a second down, and this is going to be it for him. He's not got enough fuel. I don't think he'll have enough ERS to get another lap in, so it's going to have to be a mighty final few corners. Pepinta does find enough time. Goes fastest of everyone on a 102.997. It's an invalidation for Stachulek. Fifth is the best he can do. Sipos can't find any improvements. Checkered flag is out in this session. Pedrino's invalidated, so he's heading back towards the pits. It's going to be sixth, the best he can possibly do. In Thomas Harvey is purple in sector 2 at the moment. Might have just gone a tad deep though into turns number 7 and 8. What can the sole VSR driver remaining in this session doing? We said you needed a 102 to get pole position. That is what Pepinta has done at the moment. Coming through the final corners, Thomas Harvey, he's invalidated. Carter Lundy's backed off as well. Laverty goes fastest of everyone, 102.991 from Jack Laverty. Marcus Short, can he find any more time? He goes up into 5th, and that is going to be it for this session. We thought Lenny Pepinta had just done enough to get pole position. In the end, though, Jack Laverty snatches it by 6 thousandths of a second.
I was not expecting that at all. Was expecting an REG or a race clutch pole position, but they're definitely out of position. A race clutch 4th and 7th, REG 6th and 11th. But what's the qualifying there from Jack Laverty? Puts it on pole position by 6 thousandths of a second. We all thought Lenny Pepinta may have just had it, but look how tight that top 3 is. Jack Laverty with a 991, Lenny Pepinta with a 997, Oscar Villacampa with a 004, and I tell you what, ADRT will be absolutely ecstatic with that lap from Lenny Pepinta into P2. Oscar Villacampa with TF10 and Marcus Short of TF10 will be definitely happy with 3rd and 5th. And Jack Laverty and Parnell Racing will definitely be happy with that pole position. But an absolutely fantastic qualifying end to there. And it does see Jack Laverty on pole position, and is the first pole man of the Global Championship Series.
Yeah, superb job there, Jack Laverty on pole position. I mean, Lenny Pepinta doing that on 3-lap old soft tyres. You've got to think if he'd have managed to pull out a lap that good earlier on, obviously, on his first lap, he clearly had enough spare fuel to get in. Maybe he could have gone even faster, as we get a lovely chase cam view there of Jonah Martins. I think one of the few drivers, unfortunately for him, that we didn't really talk about too much in that session. Got himself into the top 10, so it could be one to watch in the race. But it is Laverty, fastest of everyone. He'll be on pole position. Lenny Pepinta will be alongside him. Oscar Villacampa and Marcus Short, the two Aston Martins surrounding Patrick Sipos, who is 4th on the grid. And then it is Stachulek, Pedrino, Martens, Thomas Harvey and Carter Lundy. That is your top 10. They'll be starting on a set of the soft tyres. And now, obviously, we just do the lobby reset to try and get everything nice and ready for the race. And judging by how close things are in qualifying, it's definitely not going to be a race to miss.
Definitely not. This is going to be one of the best races we'll see in league racing and in esports for an absolute while. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic 3-0 wide all the way through 36 laps of non-stop racing, fully flat-out racing. And if qualifying is anything to go by, this race is going to be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, you'll be a brave person at the moment to obviously predict how things are going to go. We had 3 different drivers, fastest in all of the 3 sessions, so even qualifying, we didn't really have a chance of predicting how things were going to pan out. Let's not forget, obviously, you've got those drivers who didn't make it through into Q3 that are starting further back, and Ulas Isildrim on that alternate strategy in 11th. Differently, with the pace he showed in that first qualifying session, I definitely don't think he's a driver you can ignore.
No, definitely not. Honestly, Ulas just a little bit out of position on the grid there in P11, but he has the alternate strategy. He has what you like to say the back marker's pole position, if you like, with that P11. So he has a free set of tyres if he would like to choose it. But it's definitely going to be a very interesting character to see how he plays out in this race. Can he get his way up the field? He can definitely try as best he can. I think he definitely will. Maybe we may see him in the top 5 at the end of this race. But RHG maybe a little bit disappointed with that qualifying, how the way it went with Stachulek in P6 and obviously Ulas in P11. But with Ulas in P11 with a free shot of the tyres and obviously on the alternate strategy, I probably would assume assume, then he definitely has a shot to try and get himself up there. But we never know in this one, and it could be an absolutely fantastic race to come.
Yeah, certainly is. Obviously, pretty standard league racing fare now is what we're expecting. 36 lap race. We don't know what the weather is going to be like. We don't know what strategies everyone is going to go for. So this is going to obviously spice things up. Teams that'll be happy in that session. TF10 as well, not getting pole position. Marcus Short was fastest in the first qualifying session, and they've managed to get a 3.5 there with Via Camper up there as well. Very good performance from TF10.
Absolutely, TF10 I definitely thought was going to be a challenge alongside Parnell, maybe one that maybe ruffles a few feathers a little bit, but was not expecting them to be that far out. And obviously with that P1 there from Marcus Short in Q1, it's definitely going to be something that they're not going to lie down, but we all pretty much thought very, very wrong. Obviously Race Clutch and RHG topping the timings in Q1 and Q2 if you like, but we definitely weren't expecting them to be 6th and 11th and then 4th and 8th I believe it was. So 4th and 6th, 4th and 8th, I've completely forgotten now. My memory is absolutely awful. It's only been like 5 minutes ago. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting from the likes of them. But I think it's very, very good to see the likes of TF10 and Parnell that far up the field with the league esports teams definitely doing very, very well for them. And Race Clutch and RHG, obviously very established esports teams, if you like, if you get what I mean. But yeah, they're going to be very, very happy with themselves with Jack Levacy, of course, for Parnell in P1, and then with Oscar Villacampa on the front row as well.
Yeah, certainly. As we were saying, I think some of those drivers, teams that we expected to be further up the front, putting in the performance as way out of the, you could argue, the two esports teams, obviously, of RHG and Race Clutch. Probably Parnell and VSR were the ones we'd have next expected to be up there. It's gone pretty well for Parnell. VSR close to having both of their drivers getting knocked out, but just about managing for Thomas Harvey to get through. Some of the teams who will be starting further back, of course, with it all to do, ET8 and FVR, both of those out in Q1. They've got nothing to lose. They've just got to go for it in this race. I wonder whether we'll see split strategies from them.
Yeah, obviously FVR will definitely be unfortunate with that one alongside ET8 as well. Definitely unfortunate qualifying for them getting knocked out in Q1, but they have a fresh start now in qualifying. Obviously, they've got a very, very long way to go now from where they are on the field, but it can definitely spark a few lights for a few people, but it's definitely going to be interesting how they play out for them. Obviously, maybe they may try and start for the hards. Obviously, medium soft is not guaranteed. We definitely can see hards working hard to soft. Maybe it's definitely going to be a little bit slower, but it is a very big possibility from a few of them.
Yeah, it is. You never know what these drivers are gonna go with. We talked about how on this game soft medium is the conventional approach, but when have league racing drivers ever gone for anything conventional? This should hopefully be an absolutely superb race. We are hearing that there are just a few issues with the audio. Apologies, I am trying to fix that in the background. Hopefully it is something that we will be able to sort out as we go on. Hopefully it fixes itself during the race, because we want to be able to cover this action as well as we possibly can. Some of the other teams that we haven't really talked about, and I suppose Amanda will be feeling slightly gutted. Lenny Papinta for ADRT, probably not a team we expected to be up there towards the top of the order, but Jan obviously just outside the top 10. He's got a good chance on that alternate strategy, and Lenny Papinta, one of the few drivers to get into the 102s in that final session.
Yeah, definitely so. It was absolutely fantastic that there from Lenny Papinta to get it into the top two. We all thought it might have been pole position, but Jack Levacy just snatched it at the end there with that pole position. But yeah, an absolutely fantastic job there from Lenny Papinta for ADRT. Probably once I thought that would be a little bit lower down the field, but definitely not the case. And Lenny Papinta on P2 there, doing absolutely fantastically as usual, with Oscar Villacampa in P3 just behind him. But yeah, definitely a great outing for ADRT there, but yeah, they can definitely ruffle a few feathers and maybe get Lenny Papinta on the top step of the podium. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see how they play it out, how the different teams, those that have got a car maybe on the alternate strategy, might be in a good position to just do a bit of just do a bit of traffic management here, and when they're obviously working through the field, which is something that all the drivers are going to have to try and think of, how they're going to manage their way going through all the field, getting through the traffic, trying to avoid any issues. We've already spoken about how good the alternate strategy is around here. One thing everyone's going to have to look out for in the race is DRS trains. 3 DRS zones already that we've spoken about. If you drop outside of that in the first few laps on that alternate strategy, it's going to make things difficult for you later on.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, DRS trades is definitely a main talking point in league racing. You just really get stuck in them. You can't really make an overtake. But there's definitely ways around it. Maybe you're just going to have to get a little bit aggressive once in a while. But obviously, you do want that DRS just to try and keep up with the man in front of you. But it's definitely going to be interesting with the DRS trains, how people play around it. But you usually do see the trains forming quite a bit. But if anything esports goes by, then it's definitely going to be very, very tasty with how it plays out.
Yeah, it should be. I definitely can't wait. I believe we have now got all of the drivers in the lobby, so we're just waiting for the grid to get set up, and we'll be able to get this race underway. I can tell you, looking at things at the moment, I think they are setting the weather for what it was originally going to be with the dynamic weather in qualifying. So it looks like we are going to have a dry race, which I'm sure will please a lot of the drivers. They do the majority of their practice, obviously, in the dry weather, and it's not something they'll have been wanting to see if things for getting some rain. We'll quickly get up what the calendar is going to be for the rest of the season. Again, just to remind you, there's a few facts about this track. 4.318 kilometres for 10 turns. Max Verstappen, with his own Dutch grandstand that Lando Norris keeps telling us is a McLaren grandstand, one of the most successful drivers around here with multiple wins. And there is a look at the calendar then for the rest of the season. Just getting it up on screen now. Any of those circuits in particular you're looking forward to?
Yeah, probably Imola next week as well. Should be an absolutely very, very tasty one as well, with the likes of some very, very famous corners. But yeah, it should be an absolutely fantastic season coming up. Imola should be a very, very tasty one with a lot of calendars on the race. Going to be very, very tasty indeed. But it's going to be a fantastic season nevertheless, and should be a great race everywhere we go.
Yeah, it definitely should be. We've got a few people in the chat here. Shizu Sansevi saying Modesto last to first. It will be intriguing to see how their drivers get on. Of course, Milan Badesco just missing out on a shot in Q3, and it was a difficult run for Harlan Marquis, failing to get a clean run in any of the sessions, starting in last position. He will be doing. Cartolundi, interestingly, saying there that he's cost himself a 1-2 in that session, so perhaps just invalidating through the final corner. Can't beat him up too much. It still was a fantastic performance from Cartolundi. And as long as you keep it clean in the race, you're going to have a good shot, because there's always a possibility of penalties around here.
Absolutely. Penalties are definitely a big factor in all league racing, just not obviously Austria as well. But I don't think we'll see as many penalties as we are likely to see in the likes of the other races like Mexico we have as well. Maybe USA, we may see a few penalties crop up as well. But I think it's definitely going to be one with the interesting front of penalties. Obviously, these drivers are absolutely fantastic at their game, and definitely try to stay out of penalties, corner cutting penalties as best as they can. But usually the one or two do end up occurring, but I doubt we'll see any penalties today. But if we do, it may be just from one or two drivers, and maybe one that might get looked at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, if there is any that the stewards are able to remove because of spurious track limit warnings, or if they've been pushed out of the track, that is something that we're definitely going to be able to look into. The lobby is just getting ready now, so it shouldn't be too far before we are able to get this race underway. Where do you think we're expected to see the majority of the overtakes happening? It's usually you see drivers going for the move into turn number 3, but you've got to be careful where you get the overtake done into there. Ideally, you want to still be behind when the DRS activation zone is for the next straight.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we've seen a few overtakes over the years in esports and in real life at turn 3, if you like. That's maybe a few famous for a few reasons. Jono Otmir and Danny Moreno getting it a little bit wrong in season 29 of PSGL, and the same thing happening, but this time he got the win in PSGL season 30 as well as Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen as well, getting it wrong in real life alongside Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton. So main overtaking opportunities usually see around there, turn 2, turn 3 if you like, as well. We may see a few interesting lunges in towards turn 4 as well, but it's definitely going to be interesting where people pick their moves, but they'll definitely pick their moves where it's looking likely that the move will definitely stick. I don't think they'll see a few people just diving in willy-nilly, but it'll definitely be interesting to see how everything plans out. But we're on the formation lap now, and should be a fantastic 36 laps ahead of us.
Yeah, it should definitely be. We are really, I think it's safe to say everyone is looking forward to this one then, so let's get ready for things underway. Welcome to the Global Championship, powered by GT Omega. We are here at the Austrian Grand Prix with myself, Luke Etheridge, and Joshua Davies, bringing you the action from the Red Bull Ring. First used in Formula 1 back in 1970. It's changed quite a lot since then. 3 DRS zones and those 10 corners that will be testing all of the drivers tonight around here. As we are going to take a look at what tyres everyone has gone for in this race, and a couple of drivers actually managed to get themselves disqualified on the formation lap. Starting right at the back, Harlan Marquis, he's the one who's gone for something different, starting on a set of the soft tyres. Everyone else outside the top 10 has gone for those medium tyres.
Everyone on the medium tyres, apart from Harlan Marquis, he wants to go extremely aggressive at the start, but obviously starting at the back of the field, he definitely wants to do so. But yeah, obviously everyone on the mediums, but interesting to see Ulas Zildrum and Jan Halliday getting disqualified from the formation. I'm not sure, something should be seeing on a regular basis, but they'll be starting the race on stone cold tyres, and already what has been not the greatest of qualifyings for Ulas Zildrum. It started with him at the back at P11 and with a disqualification to his name, but definitely be interesting how the way it plays out. But they're on the grid now to start the first race of the Global Championship, and it should be an absolutely fantastic 10 races we have left, and they're all lining up at the grid right now.
Yeah, they are all lining up the grid. We are hearing a few rumours that there might be some desync issues affecting the lobby, so it will be interesting to see whether this is the start of the race or whether we are going to see things getting red flagged. So we are going to get this race underway. We've got 5 lights. It's an incredibly long hold then. They go out and we are underway for the Austrian Grand Prix here at TGC. Lenny Papinto with a fantastic start down the inside then of Jacques Laverty. He takes the lead of this race. We might see Patrick Sipos being able to follow through as well. One of the Ferraris, that'll be Primoz Mikhlovic, having a massive moment in the background, but everyone has made it through the first corner safely. It is Papinto in the lead for now. Sipos sends one down the inside into turn number 1. He's gone way too deep, and that might allow Jack Laverty to get back, as I swear Papinto just teleported halfway across the screen there, as we've got a yellow flag in the background, and that is Ulas Zildrum, who's had a bit of an issue. We've got Jan Halliday, who's got himself a penalty, but Jack Laverty, despite not the best start, is somehow back where he did start, into the lead.
Yeah, great start there from Jack Laverty, but even better one from Patrick Sipos, getting it all the way up into turn 2, almost taking the lead, just breaking a little bit too late, and costing his line, going very, very wide, as Alvaro Puerto is the first spinner there in the background, and dead last alongside Ulas Zildrum, who's not had a good start. A lot of desyncing already happening, which is not what you want to see. It's been stuck down in towards P8. Well, Jack Laverty is the first one, as you can see, the Williams there. Lenny Papinto just getting to the grass there. I don't think that's anything wrong, as he's battling away with Carter Lundy side by side. Thomas Harvey is disconnected from the session, as a lot of desync happening, as there goes Barker's shot.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
there we go.
Goodness me. And I believe that is going to be a lobby restart.
I mean, again, this is happening, all right? This get, like, we've almost got I don't know how to describe this, like, anymore. It's a joke, to be honest. Things were working fine 48 hours ago, but obviously we had to fix the podium pass, because that is the priority at the moment, it seems, rather than getting the multiplayer working. Yeah, this session is, in perhaps the least surprising news ever. We are going to have a restart, so we'll quickly get away with that one, because I think the less said about that, the better.
Just not great, is it, to be honest? Obviously, Masters thinking only for themselves once again, with just getting all the custom things out of the way. I'm not thinking about the multiplayer side of things as usual, but nevertheless, less said about that, the better, and hopefully we'll get a nice clean lobby coming into the next one. But yeah, hopefully it shouldn't happen next time around, but yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting one going forward, but not what you want to see at all, but that's the way it is, I'm afraid, sometimes.
Yeah, certainly. Apologies to everyone that is watching at home. Nothing we can really do about this at the moment. I think what we're going to do now is try and set up a leagues lobby. I know this certainly worked not so long ago when you know, we had issues just before esports and challengers started. Doing things in leagues lobbies seemed to work slightly better, so we are going for a similar approach here, and just hoping we get the same results this time. Just builds up the tension that tiny bit more.
Yeah, definitely. So hopefully the league setting does decide to work. Obviously, it did work when we tried it on earlier on, so hopefully it should work this time around. But then again, the online works last time we tried it, which was a couple of hours ago. But that's Codemasters for you. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But hopefully we will get this race back underway in a couple of moments' time.
Yeah, hopefully we will. Well, we'll let you know. I think that incident that we saw at the end there on screen, I think was, you know, people had realised that the session was cancelled. So by that point, you might as well floor it and cause a bit of chaos. Definitely a bit more content than what we saw with Verstappen and Leclerc and Rosberg and Hamilton over the last few years. But we did see the issues. I think it was Puerto obviously getting spun around, and we saw Marcus Short inside Lenny Papinta, which is definitely not something you want to be seeing before the watershed. Again, it just builds up that tension. Hopefully, these things are working. I imagine everyone will be starting on a similar set of tyres, and it's probably, initially, that start from Lenny Papinta, I'd imagine he was absolutely delighted with how it went.
Yeah, Lenny Papinta getting a great start off the lights there, was getting it into P1 there, so he got a good start off the lights alongside Patrick Sipos, who did well to get it 3 wide in the end. He got a great slingshot out of turn 1 there, but just couldn't really hold it as he broke a little bit too late for turn 1, which compromised his line, and Jack Laverty just could swoop around the outside and get the job done there. But still a good shot from Lenny Papinta and Patrick Sipos. If they can get starts like that for the restart, they'll definitely be in business. But hopefully they can try again for the restart and get a similar reply.
Yeah, it was a brilliant start to the race from Papinta initially. Patrick Sipos just, you know, being smart through the first corner, not committing too much, and then going for that run towards turn number 3, and definitely getting things done. We didn't get to see too much about how those drivers were getting done on the medium tyres. I believe we might have a couple of minutes wait while we get the league lobby set up, and also I think while everyone restarts their games, because I know that definitely, for whatever reason, seems to fix things. Just the classic step number 1 of any IT manual, turning it off and on again, and it seems F1 2021 is definitely not immune to that one. Things like this are definitely annoying for your drivers. You've got yourself, you know, pumped up, ready for the race. Now you've got this slightly longer wait, and let's not forget, a lot of these drivers, they didn't race. They've been practicing obviously beforehand, but haven't driven tonight possibly since Q1 ended, which now was nearly an hour ago.
Yeah, obviously it's going to be very, very difficult for a few of the drivers that did get knocked out of Q1, but obviously I think they probably left just to get a little bit of last-minute practice in, but hopefully they don't just overdrive it a little bit too much, but definitely going to be tasty. But yeah, obviously these race restarts getting to your head a little bit, just obviously hopefully it doesn't happen again, but it should. Hopefully it is sometimes a good thing for drivers just to get a fresh restart, just a fresh mind to get everything ready and set to go. But it definitely doesn't help with the way things go, with the smoothness of the experience in league racing. But hopefully it all works out in a few moments' time.
Yeah, hopefully it won't be too much longer, obviously, before we are able to get these things underway. We will keep you updated. We will not be singing any songs in the meantime, like Joel Granger has requested. Maybe it'll soothe the pain of the FVR qualifying session, but I think everyone else's ears will start bleeding. And yes, unfortunately, we have had to cancel this due to desync. That seems to have been induced by the update yesterday. I believe PlayStation is the only platform that seems to have been unaffected. Although a few drivers, for whatever reason, F1 2018 seems to have become really popular over the last few days. Maybe I need to give it a quick purchase on Steam and see if I can get it downloaded. We might be racing on that by the end of the night.
Yeah, 2018, what a game that was for F1 Esports, F1 League Racing in general. Obviously, wasn't a part of the community back then, but watched a few races back. It was definitely a great time to be alive in those sort of things. But yeah, F1 2018, maybe give it a purchase later on, maybe a reinstall on the Xbox side of things. But yeah, F1 2018, maybe playing on that by the end of the night, as he said, as Force India may get a return in the end, and we'll see a pink Alpine in the end. But yeah, something like that hopefully will get resolved soon.
Yeah, it's I think F1 2018 was the first F1 game I got on the, I suppose it is the old gen of platforms now. I used to think of it as the new gen, but I've been around, I think, quite a bit longer than some of the others. Again, apologies for this delay. We will keep you updated with the news as soon as possible. And talking about delays in the world of Formula One, we have got the Australian Grand Prix this weekend, the first one that we've seen in 3 years. And I think for the first time ever, there's going to be 4 DRS zones on an F1 track.
To be honest, that's just absolutely crazy to me. I don't think it's more. I think it's unsafe as well. Obviously, a lot of those straights are not really straights. It's not long enough for a DRS straight at least. So I don't think it's very weird to have 4 DRS zones in one track. But there's F1 for you, trying to make things as interesting as possible. But we all saw Saudi Arabia with the likes of DRS they had there. So not sure why 4 DRS zones is needed. But nevertheless, hopefully it'll come into a tasty Grand Prix, and obviously early start for some of the UK viewers with practice 1, I think, on Friday about 5:30 in the morning. So early start for a few of those hardcore F1 fans right there if you're interested in practice 1.
I'm going to be honest, I think I've missed getting up for the early starts. I remember doing it when the Australian Grand Prix came on at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, which was always a bit intriguing. Thankfully it is slightly later than it used to be at the moment, which does make things a bit more nicer. We are just getting some news in at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, and I think almost it is going to be the inevitable news that we almost expected it to be. Unfortunately, the race has been postponed due to issues with the lobby system at the moment. Doesn't seem to be working properly, and you're unable to set the weather correctly, so there could be some different things with the weather. So unfortunately, the race has been postponed. Make sure to check out the Global Champs Twitter account if you don't follow it already to find out more information. But yeah, so gutting for these drivers who've put so much effort in, all for nothing.
Yeah, it's a real shame. Obviously, as all we were really excited just to kick things off here in Austria. But unfortunately, race gets postponed, and obviously this unplayable game we have to review tonight as cost us some good racing once again. It was looking really good in qualifying, but then the race hit, and it's the same old thing with this game. Unfortunately, unplayable. But nevertheless, it is a shame. Obviously, a lot of people have been doing very well, practicing a hard lot over these past few weeks since the tournament was announced. But hopefully we will get something up next time around, and it should be all okay for next time.
Yeah, definitely. I think the calendar we had was already slightly out of date because the race is getting shifted from Monday to Tuesday. It looks like it is going to be very out of date at the moment. I wonder if Dan Hawkins is going to get a few DMs over the next few hours off certain people. I know there was plenty tagging Codemasters. Who knows? Maybe they'll get it right next year at the 13th try. You can tell how optimistic I'm sounding about things at the moment. So yeah, we will try and keep you updated on how things are happening at the moment. So as you can see there, the race is unfortunately going to be postponed for tonight, and we will keep things updated, and we'll keep you updated whether there's going to be changes to the qualifying, because I think there might have been a couple of desync issues in the qualifying session as well.
Yeah, there was a few rumours going around. I think it was involving Duncan Hoffland as well, desynced to a couple of the grid with a few other people. But yeah, hopefully that gets fixed at the next opportunity. Hopefully Codemasters will watch this with my kid, and of course they're not going to watch this. But yeah, hopefully, if any Co-Masters representatives are watching this, this is the game now. So hopefully it is fixed for tomorrow, next week, whenever it may be. Hopefully it is fixed with a new update coming to fix desyncing. But hopefully it does work soon enough, and hopefully we can get round 1 underway at a sooner date.
Yeah, certainly. So thanks so much, everyone that has stuck with us for the 1 hour 36 that we've been at the moment. We saw a very close qualifying session, and that unfortunately is where things ended. There has been some issues with the game. Again, keep up to date on the Global Champs Twitter channel and on the Discord as well. You'll be able to find out all the latest news. But for myself and Josh, thank you so much for sticking with us. Apologies once again. We'll see you when we see you. Who knows where that is going to be. Take care of yourselves, and goodbye.